Okay, so today let's talk about NIL versus collectives. There's a lot of misinformation on the street about those two things. They are very different concepts, and so I'm going to give you a quick 101 on how to understand the difference and recognize that when people are talking, they are using non-specific language because they don't know any better. But we're going to break it down. So NIL is short for name, image, and likeness. Name, image, and likeness is an intellectual property concept that is really called rights of publicity. So any intellectual property lawyer can tell you that there's this thing called rights of publicity where you get to monetize or get value from your name, image, or likeness. A little bit broader than that, but for sure, NIL is a part of that intellectual property concept. Okay, so what are some examples of rights of publicity that you might know in the ordinary world? When Michael Jackson died, his estate sold his rights of publicity for roughly $500 million. And by selling those rights, they essentially took the $500 million and allowed the purchaser to monetize Michael Jackson's name, image, likeness, however they saw fit within the confines of the agreement. Similarly, Elvis Presley, a long time ago, his estate also sold off his rights of publicity for a lump sum of money. So you will recognize those two, Michael Jackson in particular, but those are examples of rights of publicity that are sold. So anyone that is a popular figure can monetize their rights of publicity and can prevent others from using those without compensation, which is what the athletes had not been able to do prior to this current reality. So you may recall in the not too distant past, you would see your favorite player's jersey, name, and number, and that player, you might have even bought that jersey. That player received $0, though somebody was making money off of him in the case of football. Okay, so abuse or failure to compensate for someone's name, image, and likeness rights. So another example, if you live in Atlanta, you may have seen Carson Beck on Morgan & Morgan signs advertising for the law firm. Now, I don't know if Carson Beck is actually going to make someone want to become a client of Morgan & Morgan, but that's an example of an NIL deal, okay, where he is receiving dollars associated with his likeness being associated with Morgan & Morgan. I am going to post in the comments a couple of pictures of deals that players at the University of Missouri have gotten. One of them, Toriano Pride Jr., who used to be at Clemson, is now on a frozen pizza label. And there's another player whose picture is on a bag of potato chips, Luther Burton. So I'll post those. Those are NIL deals. Okay. Now, another NIL style deal back in 2023 at the University of Utah, all 85 scholarship athletes received leased trucks on a sponsorship deal. So the leased trucks were paid for by the collective, as I understand it, the payments and the insurance. The players were responsible for the taxes. So that was a sponsorship deal associated with NIL and the collective together. Okay, but that's NIL. Now, what's the collective? A collective is a group of supporters that put their money into a pool to attract talent. That's all it is giving money away, fundamentally. Now, a collective might help athletes get NIL deals. Okay, so essentially having an agency-like component. A collective might get group sponsorship deals like this truck deal I just told you about at the University of Utah that you can Google for yourself and see. A collective might facilitate promotional opportunities. Okay. A collective might engage in licensing activities on behalf of the players in the collective. Okay. They might facilitate the players getting goods and services, like this car leases, accommodations, etc. So understand that NIL, name, image, and likeness, puts players in the position to make money, whereas collectives give players money. For the most part, that's at the basic 101 level. There may be nuances and distinctions, but that's it at its core. Either way, the money's taxable. So anybody who's spending 100% of the money they get, adults in training got to learn. You got to pay taxes, so nothing is free. But they're very different things. So when you hear someone say, they promised me X, but they didn't give it to me, okay, that's a statement that they overcommitted the collective, that they promised that there were dollars in the collective that were going to be distributed to an individual player that were not distributed. So the collective was underfunded relative to the commitments associated with it. So folks are out there making promises based on pledges and not based on real dollars. And when those pledges don't materialize, you end up with a problem. And so as an example of that, just today, Darwin shared with me 6 former Florida State basketball players have brought suit against the coach for $1.5 million in what they've characterized as unpaid NIL cash. That's really a mischaracterization. The collective did not have the money to meet the obligations that the coach made and the commitments that the coach made. So we'll see how that plays itself out. So that's the distinction between the two. Let me know what you think. I'll come tell you more about the portal when I get some more action there, and we'll talk about JUCO later as well. Let me know. Peace.